one thing that can really make or break a dive is running low on gas. There are a few other things, but yeah, running low on gas is really annoying. And how is it that your dive guide or your instructor can last underwater so much longer than you ever can? Well, there are a few tips and tricks that can help you stay down for longer, and it's not what you might think. So stay tuned, because you'll never guess what number 4... I'm just kidding, it's not one of those videos. Anyway, some divers are just gas guzzlers. There's no denying it. So as professionals, we tend to try and stick you two together as a buddy pair. That's basically so that you breathe at the same rate, if we can. But you can definitely improve your SAC rate with a few little tweaks here and there. So yeah, I think I came up with about 5 or so. So let's run with that. 5 breathing tips for scuba diving. I thought, you know when you're reading something and you're like, oh, okay, for scuba diving, there's another word, so it's not divers, it's diving. So we're starting off the list about how to breathe by looking at your weight belt. So cutting down your weights to a minimum so that you don't use any gas for your BCD is definitely going to help you. If you're overweighted, then you'll be using valuable gas to correct your buoyancy. And as you change depth, you'll be using your lungs to fine-tune your buoyancy in different places, either right at the top of your lungs or right down at the little bit. So it's best just to maintain your buoyancy and have that down correctly. This is what your check dive is really for. Not just a dive to kickstart the holiday, but to check that all of your gear is working and that you're weighted correctly. And this should be done at the end of the check dive too, not just at the beginning, but when you're down to about 60 bar. Down at 3 meters at around 900 psi in your tank, you should be able to dump all of the gas out of your BCD and stay at 3 meters. If you sink, then you're wearing too much lead. If you float, then you're too light on lead. On to tip number 2, and we're still not even thinking about your lungs. We are looking at your gear still. Once you have your amount of lead just right, then you need to put it in the right place. This is where you need your buddy's help, and a camera can also help as well. Get your buddy to take a picture of you so that on your dive profile, when you feel natural and horizontal. If you're swimming like this with your head upright, then you're going to be hitting a lot of resistance going through the water. That's just going to be wasting a lot of your energy. Move your lead around so that you float horizontally in the water, and you will see a whole bunch of students online practicing this by laying down on the surface on a table just to get used to what it should feel like being horizontal in the water. It's a lot more head down than you think, and you need to tidy all your stuff up too. If you've got things dangling and flapping around, then you're just gonna make your work harder and you're gonna be breathing so much faster. So just keep it smooth, keep it nice and streamlined, and that'll improve your breathing.
Hashtag flappy snack hazard.
Hashtag flappy snack hazard. Okay, so now we're still not even in the water yet. This tip takes place before the dive. It sounds all new age, but before your dive, just take a few minutes to visualize your dive so that your head is in the right place. Just think about being in the water and moving slowly whilst controlling your breathing. Picture the entry, traveling, potential faults and the actions to fix them. Go over your hand signals in your mind so that everything is routine, everything is normal, and everything is going to plan. Clear out all of the dead air out of your system by breathing fully and really cleansing all of your tissues right before your dive. Yoga is really good for this in your downtime because yoga isn't all about bending into really odd shapes, but it does focus on your breathing so that you can actually breathe more effectively, and that definitely helps your diving. It also helps with your fitness and your flexibility, which are also important. Keep fit and your body will work more efficiently.
You're a hippie. You're a dirty hippie.
I've got the beard for it now. The first thing you need to do when you're actually in the water is to chill. Just try to reduce the amount of moving and thinking that you're doing, because everything you do uses up oxygen, or more importantly, creates carbon dioxide. Your body doesn't really monitor the amount of oxygen you have in your bloodstream, but what it does keep checks on is the CO2 level in your blood. If the CO2 level gets too high in your bloodstream, your brain just tells you to breathe. So chill out, take it nice and easy, and produce as little CO2 as possible. If you can not move for as long as possible, then do so. By staying still and letting the current move you along, then you'll stay underwater for longer. One of my shortest dives ever was trying to swim against a current to see some hammerheads. All that extra effort just drained my tank, so I had to shallow up after just a few minutes. This varies between instructor, but I was taught to breathe in for 3 seconds and then breathe out for 3 seconds. But another useful tip is to hum to yourself. Humming a tune not only keeps other divers away from you, so you have a nice amount of space to yourself, but it makes your breath last a lot longer than just a normal. Slow and steady is the key again, and whilst I don't recommend this for all divers, as long as you have your buoyancy down correctly and you can hold that breath of air for a little bit, as long as you don't ascend or descend, then yeah, you can inhale for 3 seconds, hold it for 3 seconds, and then exhale for 3 seconds. Or whatever suits you. Just make sure that you don't ascend whilst you're holding your breath, obviously, because you can hurt yourself. Now, you don't have to be 3 inches off the bottom to enjoy the reef. Remember that the further down you go, the more gas it takes to fill your lungs up, so only go as deep as you need to. Again, keep an eye on your guide. If they are shallower than you, then they are breathing less gas than you. So always try and stay a little bit higher, and that way you're not breathing quite as much when you're underwater. Along with yoga, you now have to take up running too, because let's face it, you need to look after your body. If you keep fit and active, then your body is used to the physical exertion while scuba diving. Another top tip to improve your diving and breathing is, you guessed it, go diving more. That's why dive professionals last so much longer underwater, because we spend so much of our time underwater, it just becomes routine and our body just does it with minimal effort.
What about donuts? Eat lots of donuts?
Donuts help. Donuts, yeah.
Good to know.
If you truly are a gas guzzler and you can never keep up with your buddy, then it may be time to look at a pony, or at least a separate cylinder for your buoyancy. That way you have an independent supply for the gas that you breathe and for you to control your buoyancy. Personally, I've never been a huge fan of high capacity tanks, because even when I'm filling them up myself, it's rare to get a true 300 bar air fill by the time that you've hit the water. But there are thousands of you out there. You should have a few tips and tricks for making your air last longer. What do you guys recommend? Are you a pre-visualizer, or are you an underwater hummer? What do you do to stay down as long as possible? If you picked up something from this video, then why not give it a like? It's quick, it's anonymous, so yeah. Or you can share it with your gas guzzling buddy as a subtle hint to get their act together and stop shortening your dives. And of course, hit on that bell icon as well, so that you can see more videos like this to help your diving improve. Thanks for watching, and safe diving. We are an online dive store serving the UK and the world for all your diving equipment needs. So why not visit us at simplyscuba.com or click the box on your screen.